Today, I'm at California State University Northridge with some petitions for race-based dormitories. I'm going to talk to students, see if we can get some signatures, and see if they think this is a form of racial segregation.
Spoiler alert, he gets a lot of signatures, and hearing the thinking of these students as they justify race-based housing is a little shocking. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. Now, something 1984-ish that we just do in the year that we're kind of stuck in. I think we're doing a good job getting out, but there's still 1984-ness to dissolve here, is you implement something that is incredibly divisive, racist, and you pose it as though it is the opposite. This creates connection and it eliminates racism. What is it? Well, it's separating people on college campuses based on race. We'll call it race-based housing. Doesn't that create division, and isn't that just racism? Race-based housing. So Prager U, they're wonderful freedom fighters. They help expose truth and shine the light of awareness on what people are thinking. So I found this pretty fascinating. Let's take a look and see if we notice any holes in the thinking of people who are falling for this.
Today we're talking about equitable housing on college campuses. The idea of equitable housing is giving racial groups, safe spaces for their communities and their cultures. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a good idea. If people of color would feel more comfortable in having like their own spaces where it's just like them and like groups of people like them, then I think that's a good thing.
Let's just see here. What's the definition of segregate? To cause people to be separated on the basis of race, sex, religion, or another factor. Okay, that's the same. So I just wanted to make sure we're definitely doing something different here on our college campuses. This is what some young people are being tricked into supporting. This is segregation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it brings together the culture. It gives them
brings more togetherness by doing everything separate based on the color of your skin.
a safe space to be themselves.
Do you think it's important that racial groups have their own spaces that other races can't go into?
I mean, yeah, I feel like people should feel comfortable with their own race, because I feel like that's where they're more outgoing and it's safe space for them.
It's like we should only have like certain ethnicities living in certain parts of town. Okay.
So we have a petition we're getting people to sign today for Black student housing here at CSUN. Would you be willing to sign this?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So one of the biggest arguments against this is people claim that it's a form of racial segregation. Do you think that's accurate? What do you think about that claim?
I mean, I can see why, but
Well, it is, but we're told it's racial segregation in a good way. Guess what? In the 1930s, 40s, they were doing racial segregation and they said it was in a good way.
more important for people to feel safe around their own kind.
Now, it just blows my mind that a lot of these young people would probably call themselves like super liberal. We're all up, like we're the opposite of racist, but they are really supporting and ushering in racist policies.
Do you think it's important that every race have spaces that are specifically dedicated to their race?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's like an understanding of each other's. It's like there's a common knowledge, and I don't know how to explain it, but like a connection there, if that makes any sense.
So we also have a petition for Asian student housing. What are your thoughts on other racial groups other than Black people having their own?
They should all have their own. It shouldn't just be for Blacks. It should be for every race. If you feel more comfortable around your people, congregating with your people, then that's what it should be.
One potential solution, if someone just wants to congregate with people that are of the same race as them, you've got your house, or you've got your dorm room, you've got your apartment. It's your domain to invite whoever you want in or reject who you don't want in, whether you're inviting them in based on the content of their character, or you just kind of racially profile, like, cool, the color of your skin matches what we allow here. But the idea of implementing a policy level in a school or a society, now we're getting into some dangerous territory again.
Would you want to sign this for us as well? Getting a lot of signatures, guys. This is awesome. What if those spaces exclude certain races? For example, if the Black student housing excludes other races, do you still see that as being okay?
That's a tough like gray area because like on one hand it's like giving black students like an environment to thrive in, with people like them, but on the other hand yet excluding people like of different races, that's like not a good thing. So I don't know, I guess it's like some gray area.
Would you be willing to advocate for race-based classrooms here on campus?
No.
If segregation or
I like that some of these people so far, they're finding a line of like, yeah, I can recognize that goes too far. Maybe they couldn't recognize like it's already like too far left. Eventually they kind of click into, I will think for myself here, and that doesn't make sense.
or if only spaces for minorities or other racial groups in dormitories is helping their culture and making them feel safe, why not classrooms?
Well, because it doesn't allow other people to come together and learn about each other.
Basing it off of race in dormitories, does that not impede people's ability to learn those other cultures?
No, I mean, it's not like you're being denied. The space is already created for white people. A lot of these buildings are dedicated to white people. You see little plaques and it's dedicated to white people. So to sort of turn around and say like,
There's never been a college building that's meant anything to me, no matter how dedicated to white people it is. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying like, dude, you dedicate a building to white people, it registers as 0 to me. It does not matter. You could dedicate a building to me. Wouldn't matter to me. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first I'll be real. I've got stress in my life and I bet you do too. I work hard, I work out, things don't go according to plan all the time. Sometimes my sleep's messed up. So even though there's a lot of stress, I like to feel and function my best. So what do I do to rebound from my stress? Well, I'm happy to share that an absolute gem I've found that helps me do that is Bond Charge's red light therapy products. And here you can see me in front of the Supermax red light panel. At a minimum, I'm doing 3 sessions a week in front of my Supermax red light panel because it helps me relieve my stress and I always feel better after my sessions. Not to mention it also helps me recover faster from exercise and get past aches and pains quicker. And the fact that it also improves my sleep does not piss me off. Red light therapy also has such profound anti-aging effects on the skin that now I use Bond Charge's red light face mask. And you'll also be happy to know that all Bond Charge products are HSA FSA eligible, giving you up to a 40% tax-free savings. To help conquer your stress and upgrade how you feel and function, check out Bond Charge's red light therapy devices at bondcharge.com/JPReacts and use the discount code JPReacts to get 15% off everything Bond Charge offers.
if we create a space based on minorities and say that, well, that's actually racist, then you're kind of saying, well, your culture doesn't matter. What matters here is our comfortability.
So I don't know if you want to sign this one, but we also do have one more petition for white student housing here at CSUN. Would you be willing to sign this one as well?
Sure.
Oh, awesome. Would you be willing to sign this for us as well?
What would be the purpose of that? Because white people have privilege, so why would we need our own housing?
He's definitely privileged to get the worst hair dye screw up job ever.
People of color are people who are, discriminated against and face like injustice and inequity. White people do not have that problem. A white person in the U.S. has the utmost privilege over all races. We don't need like a white safe space. That's not necessary.
But if they feel like they need that space, then why would that be wrong?
Why would a white person feel less comfortable in other races? That's their own problem.
Do you feel like it's a contradiction for you to advocate that other races?
There's such thing as reverse racism.
I'm not saying racist.
There's no such thing as reverse racism. It has a term. It's called reverse racism, which is the same as racism.
But I'm saying you argued that other races can have their spaces if they feel like they need it, but not white people.
Yeah, that's because white people are privileged. We are at the top of the social hierarchy in the U.S.
Voting for Biden.
There's a racial divide in America right now.
Yeah. There's always been a racial divide.
Do you think that things like this help the racial divide or hurt it?
I think it helps it. It gives them a space where they're not going to be looked down upon because of the race or their culture.
One of the privileges I think that's most glaring is, it was just struck down, but affirmative action. So for example, students of color getting preferential treatment over white students. I feel like that's a form of racism.
She's about to be angry, I suspect.
Racism against white people?
Yeah.
Girl, no, white racism does not exist.
No, not even if black people are getting preferential treatment in school admissions.
That is just not. Can I ask what's your political stance? Are you a conservative?
I am a conservative, yes. Is that a problem?
Yes.
Why?
I like the divisive mentality she has.
Goodbye.
All right. Bye. Well, we lost one, you guys, but we're trying.
I find that interesting because it's a peek into the minds of young people, our best and brightest at the indoctrination camps called universities. One, I find it just fascinating to learn what people think and seeing the trends and seeing what they don't see as well. I'm not saying any of that's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, but I find it's fascinating to be a curious student learning about other people and what the next generation on the whole is thinking. By the way, there's also a lot of conservative young people. They just don't have representation in the media, so that's just something to know. With that said, let me know what your thoughts are. If you think on college campuses, if you think race-based housing promotes or demotes racial division, let me know what you think. I'll look forward to seeing that in the comments. And with that said, I appreciate you watching. I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video, my beautiful freedom-loving friend.